Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be digging into a guide titled Starting a Profitable Organic Farm in 2025. You're listening so clearly, you're interested in sustainability and healthy food, and maybe even dreaming of running your own farm someday.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how organic farming has gone from this small little niche thing to this global phenomenon.
Right.
This guide really captures that, and it gives like an awesome roadmap for anyone who wants to get into this, booming industry.
So let's jump right into it. First things first, what exactly is organic farming in 2025? Is it as simple as just ditching the chemicals?
Oh, not at all. It's about so much more than that. It's like this whole approach to agriculture that puts things like ecological balance and biodiversity front and center.
Hmm.
Basically, it's about working with nature instead of against it. Think of it like building this like self-sustaining ecosystem where every piece matters and contributes to the health of the whole system.
So it's not just about what you don't do, but what you do do. Can you give me a specific example of how this works in practice?
Absolutely. Take cover cropping, for instance. So instead of just leaving the soil bare after harvest, organic farmers plant these, cover crops like clover or rye. And get this, these cover crops, they act like a living mulch.
Wow.
Yeah. They protect the soil from erosion, they add nutrients back into it, and they even help suppress weeds. It's a win-win-win for the soil, the farmer, and the environment.
That's super interesting. It sounds like a much more proactive approach than, conventional farming. But before we get too deep into the techniques, the guide really emphasizes the importance of market research. Why is that so crucial for, these wannabe organic farmers?
Well, it's pretty simple, really. You need to know if there's even a demand for what you're planning to grow. Like, will people buy it?
Makes sense.
This guide, it encourages you to look beyond, just the general trends and really zoom in on your local market. Think about it. What are people in your area actually looking for? Are there any gaps that, maybe you could fill?
So even though the organic market is booming overall, I shouldn't assume that just any organic product will be a hit in my area.
Exactly.
What if I live in a place that's, already saturated with, like, organic berry farms?
That's where you got to get strategic.
Yeah.
Maybe your region needs a good organic herb supplier or someone specializing in, those unique heirloom vegetables.
Yeah.
The guide really pushes you to get creative and think outside the box.
I love that. This is where it gets really interesting. The guide talks about finding your dream plot of land, but it also says that not all land is created equal when it comes to organic farming. What should aspiring farmers be looking for?
Soil quality is non-negotiable. You
Yeah.
absolutely have to have good soil. This guide really, really stresses the importance of a soil test to see, what's going on. It can assess things like pH levels, nutrient content, and organic matter. You want soil that's alive,
Yeah.
teeming with life, not something that's depleted and lifeless.
So just like we need a balanced diet, our soil needs a balanced ecosystem to thrive. What else is crucial when choosing a location?
Water access. It's essential, especially for organic farming. We're not relying on synthetic fertilizers to, hold on to moisture, so you'll need a reliable water source, whether it's a well, a spring, or even like a rainwater harvesting system.
Got it. Good soil, good water. Anything else they should be considering?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Climate. You're not going to grow avocados in Alaska. You need to choose crops that actually make sense for your region's climate.
Right.
The guide has some really great tips on matching crops to specific climate zones, which is really helpful.
Okay, so I found the perfect location. Can I finally start planting?
Hold on, not so fast. We need to talk about farm design.
All right.
The guide is big on efficiency, especially when you're doing organic methods, which often require a lot more hands-on work.
So it's not just about making things look pretty, it's about maximizing productivity and minimizing waste.
Exactly. You got to think about things like, crop diversification and permaculture principles. Instead of just planting rows and rows of the same crop, you want to create this diverse ecosystem that, sort of mimics natural patterns.
Okay, I'm intrigued by this whole permaculture thing.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of how it works on a farm?
Okay, so imagine planting sunflowers along the north side of your garden. They'll actually provide shade for delicate leafy greens that don't like intense sun. They basically act like this natural sun barrier.
That's so clever. I love how we're not just planting crops, we're actually designing a whole ecosystem. This is making me want to get my hands dirty.
And speaking of getting your hands dirty, let's talk about the foundation of it all. the soil.
Yes.
This guide really dives deep into soil health and gives you some great practical steps for creating that vibrant, living soil.
Okay, so we've talked about soil testing, but what are some specific things we can do to actually improve the soil?
Composting is a game changer. It's like turning kitchen scraps and yard waste into pure gold for your garden.
Oh, I love composting.
Yeah, it's awesome. The guide walks you through how to create your own compost pile and talks about all the benefits of using compost as, a natural fertilizer.
So composting, check. What else can we do to, pamper our soil?
No-till farming is getting really popular in the organic world. It's a way of farming that causes minimal soil disturbance, which helps to keep the structure of the soil intact, and that keeps all those beneficial microorganisms happy and doing their thing down there.
Wait, so we're not tilling at all. But doesn't that make it harder to control weeds?
It can be a little bit of an adjustment, but the guide gives you tips on how to manage weeds without tilling. You can use mulch, cover crops, and even flame weeding, which I gotta admit sounds kind of badass.
The flame weeding, I definitely need to hear more about that. It seems like organic farming requires this whole new way of thinking about things.
It definitely does, but that's also part of what makes it so fascinating. It's like this constant learning process, this dance with nature, and a chance to get really creative with your problem solving.
I love that. This has been an incredible deep dive so far.
Right.
We've covered so much from, just understanding the basic principles of organic farming to choosing the right location and designing a productive and efficient farm layout. And we've just barely scratched the surface of soil health.
Yeah, there's so much more to learn.
But for now, we need to take a quick break.
And when we come back, we'll tackle those pesky pests, explore the importance of organic certification, and get into the exciting world of, how to actually market your organic farm.
Yes, can't wait. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive into organic farming. We covered a lot of ground already, from the principles of organic farming to the nitty-gritty of soil health and farm design.
Yeah, it's all about laying a solid foundation.
For sure. But, this guide doesn't shy away from, the challenges of organic farming either. It actually dedicates a whole section to pest control, which, I'm guessing is a pretty big hurdle for organic farmers.
Yeah, I would imagine so, because without those synthetic pesticides, organic farmers have to get, really creative and rely on a bunch of different strategies to keep those pests away.
Absolutely. It's not as simple as just, spraying a chemical and calling it a day.
So what are some of the techniques that this guide talks about?
One of the most effective strategies is crop rotation.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah. So by rotating your crops each season, you're actually disrupting the life cycle of those pests that might be, specific to certain plants. Like, for example, if you rotate tomatoes with beans, it can help prevent soil-borne diseases that really like to mess with those tomato plants.
So it's like keeping the pests guessing, they never know what's coming next.
Exactly. We can also bring in some backup, too.
Oh.
Yeah, we can call in the beneficial insects. Ladybugs are the classic example,
Oh, yeah, everybody loves ladybugs.
They love to munch on those aphids, which are a common pest for a lot of different crops.
So it's like building an army of tiny warriors to fight off those invaders.
I love that. And don't forget about mulch.
Oh, yeah, good old mulch.
A thick layer of organic mulch can really help suppress weeds and create, a barrier for certain pests.
Mulch, it's like the superhero of the organic garden.
Oh, I know, right? It's pretty awesome. And then, if all else fails, the guide mentions flame weeding as a last resort kind of thing.
Oh, flame weeding. We talked about that earlier. That sounds pretty intense.
It is. It involves using a controlled flame to basically burn away those weeds, but without hurting the crops.
Is it safe?
It can be, but it definitely requires proper training, and you have to be really careful.
Right.
It's not for everyone, but it can be a really effective tool in certain situations.
Okay, so we've got our pest control strategies figured out. But what about proving to customers that, our produce is really organic?
Right.
The guide mentions organic certification, but is that really necessary?
It's definitely highly recommended, especially if you're planning to sell your produce, commercially. Organic certification provides a level of transparency and trust for those consumers. It shows them that you're following those strict guidelines and that your products actually meet those standards.
So it's like a seal of approval, like a guarantee of authenticity.
Exactly. In the U.S., like, the gold standard is the USDA organic certification. It's a pretty rigorous process, and it requires keeping really detailed records to make sure you're in compliance.
It sounds like a lot of paperwork, but I could see how it would be really valuable for building that trust with customers.
Oh, absolutely. And it can also, help you access premium markets and get higher prices for your products.
That makes sense. Okay, so we've got our organic farm, it's up and running, our crops are looking good, and we've even got that coveted organic certification.
Nice.
Now, how do we actually get this awesome produce into the hands of those customers?
Right. That's the next step.
The guy talks a lot about marketing, which I think is, crucial for any business, but especially for a small organic farm.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Marketing is all about connecting with your audience and telling the story of your farm. And luckily, there are so many creative ways to market an organic farm.
Okay, so let's get into some of those strategies. What are the key channels that this guide recommends?
Well, farmers markets are a classic for a reason.
Yeah, they're great.
They give you that direct connection to your community and let customers actually, meet the farmer who grew their food.
I love that about farmers markets. It feels so much more personal than just shopping at the grocery store. What else?
Community-supported agriculture programs, those are also fantastic.
Oh, yeah, CSAs.
Yes. These involve customers paying upfront for, like, a share of your harvest.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it gives the farmer some financial security, and the customer gets a guaranteed supply of, that fresh produce.
It's like a subscription box for, like, fresh organic goodness.
Exactly. And of course, we can't forget about the internet.
Of course not. The internet's everything these days.
Right. Having a website and being active on social media can help you reach a much wider audience. It's a great way to showcase your farm's story and what you're all about.
So Instagram for, like, those drool-worthy harvest photos.
Yeah.
And TikTok for, like, behind-the-scenes farm life.
Yep. Use those platforms to connect with your customers, share your passion, and even offer, online ordering options.
So smart. This guide is full of such practical advice. It even suggests partnering with local businesses, like restaurants or grocery stores, to expand your reach even more.
Yeah, collaboration is key. By partnering up with other businesses, you can tap into new markets and build these, win-win relationships.
Okay, so we've covered marketing strategies, but this guide goes beyond just, like, the nuts and bolts of how to run a farm, It also talks about the importance of community and continuous learning. Why is that so crucial for organic farmers?
Organic farming is not a solo mission. It really thrives on collaboration, knowledge sharing, and community support. This guide encourages you to, connect with other farmers, go to workshops, and just stay up to date on the latest and greatest in the organic world.
So it's about building, like, this support network and constantly expanding your knowledge.
Exactly. And it's also about engaging with your local community, educating consumers about the benefits of organic food, and even advocating for policies that, support sustainable agriculture.
It sounds like organic farming is more than just a job. It's like a way of life, like a commitment to a healthier and more sustainable future.
Beautifully said. I think that's what really draws people to organic farming, It's about connecting with the land, taking care of the soil, and growing food that nourishes us and the planet.
This has been such an insightful deep dive into organic farming. We've covered everything from choosing that perfect location to, like, mastering pest control and marketing your products. But there's one crucial aspect we haven't really talked about yet. The money.
Uh-oh. Here comes the financial talk.
Is organic farming actually profitable?
Well, that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the answer, like most things in life, is it depends.
Okay, I figured it wasn't a simple yes or no answer. So what are the key factors that influence profitability in organic farming?
Well, as we talked about earlier, organic products usually go for a higher price than conventional products.
Right.
But on the flip side, there are also higher production costs involved, too.
Yeah, because organic farming often requires more labor, and the yields can sometimes be lower, especially in those early years.
That's right. But don't worry, there are definitely ways to maximize your profit.
Okay, tell me everything. What are those secrets to organic farming success?
One big strategy is to focus on direct-to-consumer sales, like farmers markets, CSAs, and those online platforms.
Right.
This lets you keep more of the profit and build those relationships with your customers.
So cut out the middleman and create a loyal customer base.
Exactly. Another good strategy is to, branch out a bit. Don't just sell raw ingredients. Create some value-added products like, jams, pickles, or baked goods.
Oh yeah, turn those extra tomatoes into some delicious organic salsa.
There you go.
I like it. What other advice does this guide give for those aspiring organic farmers?
It stresses the importance of careful planning and keeping good records. And, you got to be willing to adapt and learn. Organic farming is always changing and evolving.
This guide really emphasizes that continuous learning aspect, doesn't it?
It does. And it also talks about the importance of community. Remember, organic farming thrives on collaboration, so don't be afraid to reach out to other farmers, mentors, and those organizations for support.
It sounds like the organic farming community is really supportive.
It is. It's a really welcoming community, and that's one of the best things about this way of life.
This has been an incredibly inspiring deep dive into organic farming. We've covered a lot, but there's always so much more to explore.
I know. That's the beauty of it. Organic farming is a journey, It's a constant discovery process.
Well said. But for now, we need to take another quick break. When we come back, we'll be looking ahead to the future of organic farming and all the exciting innovations that are happening.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been exploring how to get started with a profitable organic farm.
Yeah, we've covered so much already. From soil health to marketing strategies, it's been quite a journey.
It really has, but now I'm curious about the future.
The future of organic.
Yeah, what does it hold?
Yeah.
This guide hints at some really exciting possibilities.
Well, the future of organic farming is definitely connected to those big challenges, the ones our planet is facing.
Right.
But it also represents opportunities, too. It's all about figuring out how to feed more people while also protecting our natural resources.
So it's not just about growing food, it's about creating this whole sustainable food system.
Exactly. And this guide points to a few key trends that are shaping the future of organic farming.
Okay, I'm ready. What are some of the big shifts happening in the organic world?
One of the most exciting things is this rise of precision agriculture.
Precision agriculture. What is that?
It's basically using technology to make farming practices even better, like more efficient and sustainable.
So it's like high-tech meets organic farming.
Exactly. Imagine using sensors to track the moisture levels in your soil so you only water when you absolutely have to.
Oh, wow.
It saves water, saves money, and it's way better for the environment.
That's amazing. What other technologies are being used?
Drones are getting super popular for things like keeping an eye on the crops, spotting pests, and even for spraying organic pesticides.
Wow, drones on the farm. It sounds so futuristic.
Right. And robotics are also coming into play.
Really?
Yeah. Like people are developing robots that can do things like weeding, harvesting, and even planting.
That's incredible.
It could help a lot with labor shortages and make organic farming a lot more efficient.
So technology is really helping to make organic farming, more accessible and something that could be done on a larger scale.
Absolutely. And then there's this growing focus on biologicals, which are basically natural substances that can help plants grow, get rid of pests, and improve soil health.
So it's like harnessing the power of nature to create a more sustainable system.
Exactly. Biologicals offer a much safer and more environmentally friendly way to do things, compared to synthetic pesticides and fertilizers.
This is also fascinating. It feels like the future of organic farming is all about finding that perfect balance between innovation and nature.
I agree. And, it's not just technology that's changing things. There's also this big movement toward regenerative agriculture.
Regenerative agriculture, okay, another new term.
So it goes beyond just sustaining the land, keeping things as they are. It's about actively restoring and revitalizing the soil.
So it's about healing the planet while we grow our food.
Exactly. Regenerative agriculture uses things like cover cropping, no-till farming, and composting.
Right, we talked about those earlier.
Yeah, and all of those things combined, they really improve soil health, they increase biodiversity, and they help take carbon out of the atmosphere.
So it's a really holistic approach to farming where everybody wins, both people and the planet.
Right. And it's getting more popular as people start to see the connection between what they eat and the environment.
This guide has really opened my eyes to how much potential organic farming has.
Me too.
It's not just about growing food. It's about creating a movement, a new philosophy, and coming up with real solutions to some of the biggest problems we face.
It's inspiring, right? It's something that anyone can get involved in, whether you've got acres of land or just a tiny balcony garden.
Yeah, you don't need to be a farmer to make a difference. You can support organic agriculture just by choosing organic at the grocery store or checking out your local farmer's market.
Yeah, and maybe try composting at home. Every little bit counts.
Absolutely. As this guide says, the future of organic farming is really up to all of us.
Well, this has been an amazing deep dive into the world of organic farming. I'm feeling so inspired and ready to make some changes in my own life.
Me too. It's been a great conversation.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of organic farming. And until next time, keep learning and growing.